girls. I would like to welcome everyone to the Next Gen Retro live chat show. Who knew that this was going to become a chat show? I got some cool friends, so I had a pretty good idea. But, you know, I don't expect people to do things for free. But since my friends are all fucking awesome, they only charge me in love. So tonight, our amazing, talented guest is Jessie Sponberg. He is an activist. He is a mover and a shaker. He was almost the mayor of Portland. He is now saving goats in Hawaii. He's an expert on giving free game to the masses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Jessie Sponberg. Go ahead, brother.
Hey, right on. Thanks for having me, Brad. It's only 9:30 here. Can you hear me just fine?
Yep, I can. I forgot to mute the background audio, so
Wonderful.
I'm doing that right now because I'm an idiot. There we go. All better. Anyway, so it's really good to talk to you, man. I know you've been a busy dude. You moved to Hawaii, so you went from saving the world here in Portland, making sure people are warm and fed, having a standoff with Portland Housing Authority to keep a zombie home off the market. What is filling your time in Hawaii?
That was Fannie Mae that we tried to steal the house from.
Oh, that's right, Fannie Mae.
The Federal National Mortgage Association. Hey, here's a quick tip. Never wear shorts to court. Even if you drove all the way from Las Vegas and pulled up into the courthouse or in front of the courthouse at exactly the time the court was supposed to start, and you run into the court and you're like, I'm here. Don't wear shorts.
Don't wear shorts.
I fought Fannie Mae for like 2 full years. I mean, tooth and nail. And I showed up in shorts, and there was a judge I'd never seen. And he wasn't our usual judge. And I was like, where's our usual judge? He goes, it doesn't matter. And I was like, okay, well, that's weird. And he goes, why'd you wear shorts in my courtroom?
I'm so sorry.
I was like, well, because I was in Las Vegas. And he goes, if you're in Las Vegas, you must not be taken very seriously. I was like, what are you talking about? I can't go to another state and still take my life seriously?
Right.
And he goes, you wouldn't have wore shorts in my courtroom. Case dismissed. Boom. I was like, no. Whatever he said, I don't remember what he said. It was pretty traumatic, honestly, just to lose on. Because it wasn't just the shorts. He would have came up with some other excuse if it wasn't that day.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's crazy is nobody else does that. Like I really thought that my efforts would spark other people to do it, but it was really disappointing to know that didn't become as trendy as I hoped it would, But here's the thing, I'll tell you a secret. What I did was I was able to argue in court that I deserved a jury trial, and I was granted the right to a jury trial, which nobody does. Like that doesn't get nobody in the courthouse had ever heard of it. When the news wrote an article about it, they'd never heard of it. But so that created legal precedence, right? So that means that somebody else could ask for a jury trial based on Fannie Mae versus Sponberg, right? Okay.
Yep.
Now, when you go to eviction court, that place is like a meat grinder, right?
Oh, yeah.
They don't care.
I've been there.
That
it's
judge
awful.
is so desensitized.
It's so traumatizing.
Looking, the court clerk, people are just going through like meat. Yeah. So I kind of got this plan that we can use the precedent that we set with the Garage Project. We can use that to get jury trials for other people, right? Mm-hmm. Now, when you ask for a jury trial, what you do is you just put a stick in the spokes. Right? You're gonna tie up a judge for like a whole day, and then it's going to get set over for another day, and then you're going to have to go through jury selection, and then you're going to get to ask the jury questions. Like, have they ever seen Robin Hood? How many of you have ever seen Robin Hood? Did you like
Right.
Robin Hood? Your Honor, objection. You can't object to that, Your Honor. Yeah, so I did my own jury selection and everything, and I had this little chart and which jurors I wanted to cross off, and we had to go in the back room and confer with the judge and go, number 12, number 8, you're dismissed. And we kept narrowing it down, right, until we had the jury. And then once we got the jury, I was like, yo, I can't win this fucking case. I just wanted to prove we could get a jury. Eat a dick, right?
Right. Right.
So, because I actually had to beat him twice in court. I actually lost twice, but oddly enough, they didn't evict me fast enough, so we got to do it all over again. Okay, so then here's the point. If I got that one person, that one tenant, that one renter that is getting screwed over, that puts a fork in the meat grinder and stops the wheels of injustice from spinning, then everything slows down perpetually, right? So you end up on a day that normally you would evict 50 people into the streets. Maybe you can only get 30 done. That means those 20 have to come back the next day for court. And that means that your regular caseload of 50 is now 70. But we got you operating at only getting 30 done, bro. So that means at the end of Tuesday, you still got 40 fucking cases, right?
Right. Right.
And the whole time, we're not just creating that with one person. Every single person is asking for a jury trial, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're asking for a jury trial based on the fact that the judge is desensitized by the sheer volume of cases that he sees in a day, right?
Right.
That he is detached and he has compartmentalized his personal feelings. So since it is very important to a quality of life that you have a place to live, Your Honor, it's only fair that we get, as in the case of Fannie Mae versus Sponberg, we get a jury trial. Boom. I mean, that takes a long time to argue, right? But we can have people in the hallways. We can have people in the hallways helping people that understand the processes, right? And then by the end of the week, man, now those rental companies have to hire more attorneys to cover double, triple duties, right? Usually they just have one attorney on the retainer.
Yeah.
He just sits there and has a list of 7 people that dude's about to kick out. Nope. We're going to narrow that down to 1 or 2 per person, right? And so then you can see how it went so quickly backlogged that what would it look like in 2 weeks, man? What would it look like in a month? A month straight of eviction court strikes, right? And then the landlords would have to know that eventually it would be like, all right, you're going to kick this guy out. Well, if you do, he's going to still get to live here for 6 weeks. So you might as well make some arrangements with him, right? So you're gonna take away a lot of the leverage that landlords have. Right now, the landlords have the upper hand because they don't even go. And most of the mom and pop landlords barely exist anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's the rental agencies.
That's not
it's
a
the
thing in
Bluestone
Portland
housing
anymore.
style, right?
Yeah. The housing market in
In the old
Portland
days,
is
it was,
very
if you were
predatory.
late on your rent, you just call the old man and be like, yo, old man, we're late on the rent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it used to be,
So
it would be okay if you were a week late or 2 weeks late. As long as you paid them and paid the fee, they didn't care.
yeah, man,
They
now
made
you're
more money
getting a
if you were
notice
late.
like on the 5th.
Yeah.
Yeah, now they make more money gouging you on deposits. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Blaming you on deposits and just kicking you out and charging the next person more. It's crazy, you know. That's kind of why I'm in Hawaii, is because it's such a machine, right? And I spent so much time immersed in the machine
Absolutely.
that, you know, there's kind of a detachment. There's like a detachment between the voice in my head and the voice that comes out of my mouth. Like, the voice in my head is trying to tell me perspectives from the future and trying to give me guidance and trying to give me clarity. But there's so much situational pollution, right? Like noise pollution, light pollution, people pollution, opinion pollution. So it's like, man, I'm going to go somewhere where I can just really take a minute and think about like everything that I've learned, how I can apply it better, where I need to go next. Because what's crazy is the dude that I am right now is like exactly the fucking person I wanted to be when I was a little kid. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like
Absolutely.
what do you want to do? Like, I want to be a rapper. I want to be a rapper that uh, fucking works at an animal shelter in paradise, man. That fucking learns how to levitate and fucking help children and fucking build sanctuaries for people, you know?
Absolutely.
Um,
A man of the people, a man of
and
action, a
so,
man of actions, not words. A lot of words, but also always
but you
actions.
know what? Hold on, you know what? Here's the weird thing, and you said just the perfect phrase to juxtapose. A man of action, but what I needed in my life was inaction, right?
Right.
Like when you live in Hawaii, bro, you can take fucking tree naps a day if you want.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter because, like, I mean, I've put myself in a situation where I mean, I have to work, yes, but like I don't have to compromise a lot, right?
Right.
Like I can just like pick up an island job and make enough money to pay rent for a couple months and then just eat choke avocados and mangoes and shit. Kind of
Yeah.
live humble, but Hawaii is a good place to live humble because you're not caught in the rat race. You know, the values are so different over
It seems
here
like a
and
place where
it's
it
so
would be easy to
slow.
live simply. Very easy to live simply there, I think.
Man, you go to bed early, and you wake up with the sun. Like you wake up earlier than the sun because it's so freaking beautiful at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and the whole sky is just a million stars, man. I mean, literally a million stars. And then, right as the stars start to go away, the sky turns this like pink and yellow color. And then the sun creeps up over the volcano, but you can't see the sun yet, but it's illuminating everything. And the ocean's out in the distance, like 10 miles away. And it's got ocean clouds, and then it's got volcano clouds. And then the sun's creeping up, but the stars are still there, and the planets are still twinkling. Then you're just like, holy fuck. Where
Right.
the hell did that moon come from? Why is there
Right.
a moon there? Why the fuck is there a moon there? That doesn't make no sense to me, man.
Speaking of the moon, before we talk about the moon, I do want to mention your radio show. Can you tell everyone how they can listen to
Oh
your
yeah.
radio show?
Oh my gosh, yes. So first of all, everybody should be listening to the five radioxl.com. It's five spelled with the number five instead of the F. The five, like I five, because it originated off I five.
Mhm.
But it's a national and international satellite station. And at midnight, West Coast, Pacific time, Monday through Thursday, I do a really cool show in the sense that everything I talk about is the important shit, and I do it late at night, kind of after your brain's exhausted from the monotony of the trappings that just fucking confound any clarity,
Mhm.
like you're just so caught up with the politics and the oppression and the subjugation and the erosion of our rights and the chasing of trivial pop trivialities, uh,
Absolutely.
just keeping up with the Joneses mentality. And so once you're done with all that, your brain is like, can I get a little food? Can we talk about some cool shit? And so then we talk about aliens a lot. um, we talk
So
about
the link to 5XL Radio will
that's the
be in
one
the
thing that
description.
matters, yo.
Uh,
It's kind of like some Art Bell shit.
like if Art Bell grew up on the southeast side of Portland, did
Yeah, if
Art
Art Bell was a G, if
did
Art
Art,
Bell was
where
a
did Art
G
Bell
instead of a
grow up?
bootlicker,
Wasn't he from Washington?
I don't know, but he lives in Pahrump. He lives in Pahrump. Well, he
Pahrump.
doesn't live anywhere now, but
But yeah, yeah.
Pahrump, Nevada.
Rest in peace, Art Bell.
You ever
You
been there?
inspired millions of people. No, I have not. I've not been there.
You know what? It's weird. Art Bell inspired millions of people, right? But we didn't have many other options. And now that we live in a world full of other options, it's like, man, you're kind of a dick, Art Bell. You cut your guests off a lot, and you push religion into every fucking interview. We might talk about religion tonight, honestly. After we
Well,
get to the end of some of these rabbit holes, man, we're only going to be left with a couple options.
yeah,
So
man.
it might turn kind of religious.
Yeah, it does. Especially when you start talking about simulation theory specifically. It's
Yeah.
very quickly can become religious. As a matter of fact, earlier this week I did a stream where I talked about it in reference to rare earth theory. Check the videos on my page. And I mentioned it's important that you don't start treating simulation theory like a religion. It can get real weird if you do that.
You know,
But
I was telling a story earlier. I was telling a story earlier. Well, actually, just giving some free game to my friend Paula. Um, so Mark Twain is a dude, right? But really, when you live your life, when you think about the kind of people you want to emulate, you think about Tom Sawyer, right? Like Tom Sawyer, fucking just lived a life on the fucking muddy Mississippi, right? He
yeah.
faked his own death and got to watch his own funeral. Dude, you remember the story how Tom Sawyer thought the dude,
Yeah.
that's about the dopest shit you could ever do is watch your own funeral, right?
Yeah.
um, but remember how he talked those people into whitewashing the fence? They're like, "What you doing, Tom? Why are you so happy?"
That's
He's like,
funny
"Oh,
you
I'm having
mentioned
a
that
great
because that's
time."
one of the few pieces of that book that I remember really specifically. Like I'll remember the
That's
first
like a
time I
real
read it.
important lesson.
Yeah, it really is.
Man, I haven't read that book in like 40 years. I probably read that book when I was like 5 or something, right?
Right.
But it crafted the person I knew I wanted to be, right? So, but no matter how much you love Huckleberry Finn and his adventures, rafting and running from fucking smugglers and shit, you got to remember that you're not Tom Sawyer and you're not Huck Finn and you're not Brad and you're not Jesse. You're Mark fucking Twain, yo.
Right.
You're Mark Twain. And when Mark Twain is deciding what life you want to live, right? Make sure it's not mundane. Don't just like drive your car. Like
Yeah.
find an adjective for drive. Like you commandeered your vehicle, bro. Right? Spice your own life up because you're the one writing that story, right? And
Yeah.
you have to remember that if you are Mark Twain, you can change the story. You can cheat. Man, remember those Choose Your Own Adventure books?
Yeah, man. I love that shit, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that movie they just did
Okay,
on
so
Netflix that was like that. I don't remember the name of it, but you know what I'm talking about. I love that
yeah, the
shit.
Black Mirror thing.
Yeah, the
I
Bandersnatch.
watched like half of it. I watched half of it, and then I was like, "Oh man, yeah, Bandersnatch." I watched half of it, and I was like, "Man, I live in Hawaii. I'm going to bed.
I geeked
I
out
don't
on it
watch much
super
TV
hard.
out here. I'm listening to a lot of podcasts."
Yeah.
Hey, but so yeah, I do clown on TV a lot. In the Choose Your Own Adventure books, you could just cheat, go to the end, right? But if
Right.
you already know what end you're going to, if you already know what end you're going to, and if you know that time isn't fucking linear, right?
Hmm.
Then you can not only choose your own adventure, but you can dictate the all of your trappings, all of your surroundings, where it goes, what pages are torn out, what pages are kept. And obviously, somebody's going to be like, that's stupid. Well, it might be stupid to you because, they usually keep fucking information like this for the mystery schools. And it's not, it's not usually for the unindoctrinated just to try to observe on a Twitch channel in the middle of the night. So, but if you just use that mentality and if you still view the world and compartmentalize, you know what I'm saying, and are able to, you know who KRS-One is?
Oh yeah, love KRS One.
The rapper,
Oh yeah.
KRS-One, the teacher. Okay, so so one night I got a phone call and they were like, Jesse, will you host this KRS-One show? KRS-One's coming to town at the Bossa Nova, and we think you'd be a good host. I was like, oh my God, yeah. So when I got there, KRS-One was like, bro, I don't do hosts. I do my whole show from fucking start to finish, just me touch the mic. That's it. I don't need you. But we can hang out still. So I got to hang out with KRS-One, take some
And
cool
that's the only
pictures,
reason you went
listen to him,
anyway.
talk to other people. But check it out. I didn't respect KRS-One like that. People say he was the teacher. I just thought it was a brand, right? I just thought that was like his slogan and whatever. But no. So he came and he told me some shit which changed my life. He said, look, it's midnight right now. I guarantee that at 3 in the morning, I'm going to be sitting on the edge of my hotel bed, and all my thoughts are going to be to this moment right here. So knowing that I'm thinking about it at 3 a.m., why don't I just use the 3 a.m. perspective to fucking retro engineer what's going on? Now I got the 12 o'clock perspective. I got the 3 a.m. memory perspective. And when he explained that to me, it made so much fucking sense to me that I physically felt my fucking brain explode.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, yeah. So now every move you make and every action you take needs to be fucking balanced against all those facets, right? It needs to be the 1 week plan, 1 month plan, 1 year plan, a 5 year plan, 10-year plan. What kind of person are you trying to be? If you have that GPS for the future, it's a lot easier to figure out where you're going in life because you'll know, does this turn take you closer or further away than what you want to do, right? Every single decision becomes a fork in the road that you can use to get closer to where you need to be at your time frames, right? And you can kind of check and look for signs. Look for signs that you're going the right way. Synchronicity, right? Little things, just little things that go, okay, all right, that makes sense. Boom, wow. That's a good omen, right? So it lets you know you're on the right path. It kind of just encourages you, but you can't see signs if you're not looking for them, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
sometimes the universe will smack you with a frying pan, but not all the time. Okay, so if you set a GPS in your head, you'll know, am I trying to go to the mountain or am I trying to go to the ocean, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then your job is to create as many crossroads as you can. I mean, every single opportunity is an opportunity to create a crossroad and make a decision that brings you closer or further away, right? Like, is this going to help this goal? No, it's going to push me further away from the mountain. You know, if you take enough left turns, you'll end up in the ocean. If you take enough right turns, you'll end up Maka. That's a Hawaiian term, Maka and Makai. So Maka means up mountain, Makai means down mountain. You know what? The island of Hawaii is broken up like into municipalities. I can't remember what they're called, the little towns. There's a cool word for it, but I'm not going to stop this explanation to do that. So every little jurisdiction has their borders, right? But they all include the mountaintop and the ocean. And then the next one next to you extends from the ocean to the mountaintop.
That's
and
awesome.
Everybody gets like the exact same chunk of land that they rule. That's crazy. And there's a lot of them too. All right, so back to creating those crossroads. You can't fucking fail that way. You can't. Like every decision, what am I having for breakfast? What am I fucking reading? What am I consuming? I mean, I guess maybe in fucking 10 years, you'll be happy that you watched Game of Thrones. Maybe you'll fucking meet a friend because he makes a 10-year-old fucking Seinfeld reference. And you go, Seinfeld reference, how about this Game of Thrones? And be like, wow, we're going to be best friends. And maybe that will lead to opportunity. But really, watching television is, man, I don't know. I don't want to start being negative about other people's things because you'll get a bunch of fucking people that go, oh yeah, didn't you watch the Blazer game one time? I'm like, all right. But I'm not perfect. I watch Squidbillies sometimes, man, if I totally want to just waste my life.
I like Squidbillies.
Just fucking laugh
Squidbillies
and fucking
is funny.
my head.
I mostly watch podcasts.
Shit.
I'm mostly a podcast guy.
Yeah, I mostly listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so my show is called Strange Game on a Volcano, and we talk about strange game, and we talk about fake moons, and you can listen to it on the 5radioxl.com or go get the 5 Radio app, the 5XL app. I don't know, look for it. You can get it through the website. All right.
Word. Link will be in the description for the website. So tell me what you think about the moon. Why do you think the moon is fake?
Holy shit. I've been waiting this whole time for you to ask me that, but I had to get that other shit out of the way. All right, so remember I was telling you about the moon. So here's the thing about the effing moon. There's no reason there should be a moon there, man. There just really, really shouldn't. It's perfect. It's like super perfect. Um, it's obviously a giant spotlight, right? Like any time in just your common sense, right? Just your common like let's take away anything that I'm going to talk about the moon. Let's just take any time in your life have you ever seen a giant fucking light shining on you that brought you good news? It's usually the fucking cops, fucking some fucking security guard,
It's
the
bad
fucking
news.
pricks at Standing Rock that kept those shined on us all night. They tried to sleep deprive us at Standing Rock. So up on the hillside, they have these giant spotlights on these big towers. They look like oil booms, and they shined them down on the camps so that it was never dark. That was fucking weird and futuristic.
That is weird.
Um,
It does
but
sound
yeah,
like
I
something
don't
out of
trust it,
Blade
man.
Runner.
The moon or Standing Rock?
The
Both.
description of Standing Rock sounds like something out of Blade Runner, except more
Yeah,
violent
it
and
was.
more awful. So,
We were down. We were in the valley, so they had the upper positioning on us, which they always took the advantage of. Um, so first of all, there's just some shit I don't trust, and the moon is one of them. And the voice in my head is usually pretty accurate when it was like, yo, spend less time with this dude, spend more time with this dude, right? I'm a pretty good judge of character, and I think that applies to celestial objects as well. So I see the moon with his big ass flashlight, acting like some fucking city slicker that it's his first time out camping, shining his fucking borrowed mom's fucking flashlight all over the place in people's eyes and shit. Um, and then the voice in my head was like, "Yo, man, that moon is not on the level." I'm trying to fit my whole body in the little screen. I should lean back. I keep trying to scrunch, trying to scrunch myself up in there. Oh, it's probably making my head look big.
have you ever
All
done
right,
an
so
interview like this and had
uh,
it end up on YouTube, like a Skype style chat show interview? Have you done this before? I know you've done a lot of audio podcasts and a lot of TV stuff.
you know, I kind of did a show like this the other day. We use Zoom meeting. But it was for my friend Weatherwoman. She just got weatherwoman.tv, I think, or weatherwomantv.com.
Nice.
Anyways, she's an empath that lived on the one of the smaller islands in Hawaii, Kauai, the Garden Island, and she is a weather empath. Like she predicts weather, but she also knows everything about everything. Everything. Like there's nowhere I can try to take her that she can't go. When I first met her, I thought she was just a weather empath. And then we started talking about Admiral Byrd. We started talking about cities under the pyramids. Man, we could talk about all kinds of shit tonight, man. We just had a soft disclosure. Every media source is talking about UFOs are real now. The government's admitting it. They changed it from UFOs to aerial phenomenon. So I think is what they called. So,
So the moon is definitely not what they tell us it is,
mm,
and I have uh, watched a lot of videos and read a lot of articles about what the moon could be. Um, and I know in when I was in college, the most popular way to think of the moon was, well, it shouldn't be there, but it fucking is. Uh, Some people like David Icke say that the moon is a artificial satellite placed there on purpose, possibly for communications, possibly to project the artificial reality which we experience through our senses as reality. Um, some people like the popular guy Third Phase of Moon on YouTube believes that the moon is a projection. It's not physically there at all.
Wow, I never heard that one.
Yeah, his idea is that what we see that's too far for us to physically prove is mostly projected. It's mostly holograms. Like,
Hold
and
on, but people land on it.
well, there's people out there who don't believe that.
Okay, well, I
I'm not
think you
saying I'm
kind
one of
of
those
lose me
people.
there
By the
because,
way, I, I,
um,
I don't deny the moon landing.
right.
Let's get that clear out there. I don't want people to be like, "Oh man, that dude doesn't believe we
So
landed on
what the scientific consensus, what the scientific can, you know, that what sucks about that is that conspiracy takes over most of the shit you try to find about mysterious moon stuff,
the
right?
moon." Yeah.
You know, everything is fucking landing conspiracy, but so until 1985, the accepted scientific consensus was that like the moon was just a object that came from outside of our gravitational pull, and it just got caught in our gravitational pull, and that's how we had the fucking moon. That was until 1985, and uh, then in 1985, everybody got together and they accepted what was called the giant impact theory, which was okay. The scientists call it Theia, Theia. So they said that this planet came, boom, smacked into the Earth. A bunch of particles flew up, and eventually, over billions of years, because the moon's like 4.5 billion years old, 6 billion, depends on who you ask, but 4.5 billion is good to work with. They say the Earth is 5.5 billion, I think, and then the Sun is 4.5 billion, but I could totally be wrong because I'm not really a numbers guy. I'm a concepts person. So, anyways, the Earth was still in its early formation. Planet hit it, shit flies up, swirls around, gravitational pull, we get the moon. But the moon should, by those estimates, the moon should have matter from that other planet, but it doesn't. Everything you find on the moon, you can find on the Earth. But here's a couple things. There's elements up there on the moon that aren't natural elements. They're byproducts of man-made nuclear reactions. And there's like plutonium up there and shit, right? Plutonium doesn't really appear like that in nature, from what I understand. And there's brass up there. Brass is totally like a alloy. That's not even a natural material. Why is there brass on the fucking moon? And the moon ring's hollow, and that doesn't make much sense to me. And they say that the moon still has magma on it, right? But the moon doesn't have a core, right? The Earth has magma because it has a big high iron core. The moon doesn't have a core like that, and yet the moon still has magma. If it's 4.5 billion years old, when's the magma gonna cool off? When? Fucking never. How's it 4.5 billion years fucking old then? Okay, so then they told us there was no water on the moon for a long time, and now there is water on the moon, and there's a ton of other anomalies that we could go through, but I would really be doing a disservice to the good arguments put forth by people smarter than me. So if like it's something that really interests you, I wouldn't take like your scientific information from me because I'm not a scientist. I'm
Yeah,
a
we are
journalist,
just
right?
some
And I
dudes
can tell
on
the
a
story.
chat show on the internet. Keep that in mind, folks watching. Uh, we definitely fully support you going out, taking in the information, and making your own fucking judgments. Don't just trust what we say, but maybe go Google it after the show.
Yeah, you could Google who built the moon. I got it on audiobook. It's deep though, man. There's so much shit that says the moon should not be there, right? But here's the most craziest thing about the moon is the phenomenon of a total solar eclipse. Because here is the crazy interesting coincidence about the moon is that the moon is 1/400th the size of the sun. But it's also the 400 times closer than the sun is. And that creates this interesting celestial phenomena called a total solar eclipse. Stay with me now. If you've never seen a total solar eclipse in person, you really can't fucking imagine what it's like. Seeing it on TV, seeing it on YouTube doesn't do it, right? The earth changes, bro.
It is
The earth
very
changes. There's these snakes that crawl around on the ground, like these weird light snakes that are all over the fucking ground, and the sides of the fucking moon, the plasma of the sun, like comes and wraps around the moon like Venom, like the black Spider-Man costume. It's fucking amazing. But
yeah.
what you realize is that the moon fits over the sun like 2 quarters,
Right.
like 2 peanut butter cups. Perfect, right? Now, the phenomenon of the solar eclipse, because the moon gets a little further away from the Earth every year. Just a little bit, but it gets further away from the Earth every year. So that means billions of years ago, the perfect solar eclipse didn't exist, right? And a billion years from now, a perfect solar eclipse will not exist. But a billion years ago, humans weren't here. And a billion years from now, humans won't be here. But during the time that we are here, that moon is put in a position to make it so that we can witness a total solar eclipse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Humankind, mankind. Now, it's my belief that the purpose of that was so that a real heady motherfucker like me could look at that and say, no, no, that's not accidental. That is not accidental. And then have it just open this book in my brain where I'm like, okay, okay, let's figure this out. And then start digging and then find all these inconsistencies, right? But who could have done that? Who could have put the moon right there, right? So here's where it gets really weird now. And I'm just going to lay it all out, and then we can backtrack into it so I don't lose anybody. So I'm going around, spending the last year really dedicating myself to figuring out why the moon's there. And then last week, maybe 2 weeks ago now, time flies, I saw an article pop up because I have aggregated Google search. So anything about the moon I get as soon as it's looking, as soon as it's written, my Google News is like, yo, bro, here's 7 articles about the moon today. Fucking here's another 5 about Antarctica.
Word.
Like I get all the Antarctica ones, right? So here it comes. And it's weird because they try to hide it. They said the formation of the moon, this is the headline, formation of the moon brought water to the earth. I was like, that's kind of weird, whatever. Let me read it anyways. Maybe I'll find one sentence, right? So I read it. Here's the deal, bro. The water that came to Earth was on that other planet. The one that came and hit the Earth was full of water and literally dumped all of its water onto the Earth, and that's where all the surface water on the Earth comes from. And the word you're looking for right here is molybdenum. 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 That's the word. Molybdenum. That's the word. I had to say it like 50 times on my own show, which is available on the 5, radioxl.com. Yeah, molybdenum. Thank goodness Carrie Medina knew how to pronounce that word. And she made the little dashes and shit so I could understand how to pronounce it. So there is water trapped inside the core of the Earth from the beginning of the solar system when the Earth formed. But that doesn't reach the surface, and it's isolated into different molecules. All the water that is on the surface of the Earth, which I just assumed developed over time through natural processes, condensation and wind or ice. I don't know. Shit, I never even questioned water. I just thought water is just, right? Okay, so, no. The water was all on that other planet. Now, that is fucking mind-blowing for several reasons, man. First and foremost, it's mind-blowing because what a pool shot that must be.
Right.
Because that planet, you can tell by the carbonaceous the carbonaceous molecules or some shit. Remember, I'm not a scientist. I'm just kind of a smart guy. The carbonaceous samples are different whether it came from inside the solar system or outside the solar system. And this proves that that other planet came from outside the solar system. So now what I'm supposed to believe is that, imagine this as a pool shot. You're shooting from outside the solar system, a planet full of water. You have to go past Pluto, Neptune, Jupiter, Saturn, right? Maybe not all of them. They're not lined up. It's not an Iron Man fucking, Iron Man wrestling drill. But it has to go past all those planets, perfectly hit the Earth at a speed with enough English that it doesn't spray all the water into space, right? It has to hit, and at the same time it has to do that, it has to shoot the moon off all the way into the far corner pocket and then disappear. Leave no traces of yourself on the moon.
Right.
They say the Earth was still magma at that time, and that it shot up magma, and that those coalesced over time to form the moon. I guess if that's the fucking scientific results of the carbonaceous testing, whatever the heck that means, or the molybdenums, whatever the heck those are, but people a lot smarter than me are like, yo, this proves it. And in fact, this is so earth-shattering and mind-blowing that they had to change the Wikipedia last week on how did water get on the moon. It says, based on 2019 science, we now understand that it came from the planet that created the moon, brought the water to Earth. So here's the weird thing with that now, is water is intelligent. I think that there's been enough studies done on water at the molecular level to show that not only is it intelligent, but it's symbiotic, right? Like, we can drink it and bathe in it, and it doesn't gang up on us and kill us, right? Water is like one thing. Water is like one thing, and we've had the same water the whole time. I heard this dude say the other day, it blew my mind, or I read it. He didn't say it, I read it, but it was a quote. The dude said, there's a chance that the water that Jesus drank, one of those molecules, is inside your body right now. Like, it's the same molecules going through these watershed moments, right? And here's the weird thing, is the only reason the water is allowed to work like it does to keep this planet living is that the moon is put in a perfect position that it gives us just enough of a gravitational tug that we have 4 even seasons. It keeps us on our tilted axis, and as we rotate the sun over a 365-day span, the Earth is evenly covered through all 4 seasons, right? So the water isn't part of the natural processes, right? The water is able to benefit from the natural processes and go from ocean clouds to getting raked by trees, turning into rain, turning into individual water molecules that are only separated for a tiny amount of time with the intent of getting back to the whole, right? It's like the Hindu or Buddhist concept of moksha, right? Your soul is just trying to return to moksha. Your jivas is just trying to go become one with totality again. Well, that's all water ever wants to do, man. You leave it isolated, it'll either evaporate and go fucking hang out, or if you try to kill it, it'll evaporate, or it'll freeze. I mean, it's soluble, right? It can break down minerals, but yet we can only we're mostly made out of water. So, and we came from the oceans, right? Where these single-celled amoebas supposedly that duplicated through cell division, right? In the water, supposedly. So that means water actually created us. We're what? 90-70% water? I told you I'm not a numbers guy.
I think
but
it's
our
70.
bodies are mostly, right? I think it's 72. Um, I just thought it was an odd number.
I
Uh,
just started
so,
drinking water
so
recently.
what the fuck does that mean? Oh man, in Hawaii we get the best water. We got ancient underground lava aquifer water.
I got that non-fluoride Portland tap water brought to you by Jessie Sponberg and friends.
Man, you know what's funny? Is I just got to tell a story about fluoride today. That's cool. That's twice today fluoride got brought up. Um, yeah, but this water is incredible.
Yeah,
But it's
I've drank
all
some water from
water.
Hawaii. It's so good.
So there's two kinds of water that we get here. We get one that we buy from these machines that has 7 levels of filtration. But by the time that comes to you, that doesn't do you any good. All the minerals are gone. It's been totally sterilized. It's like an IV solution, right? And then the other stuff, you just drive to these little off parking lots on the side of the highway, and they got spigots. And then you just bring your 5 gallon buckets and you just fill these out of these spigots, and it's spotless, beautiful. It has a flavor to it. Like, man, I drink like at least 2 of these a day. These are 50 ounces, and I bang 2 of these a day, and they're bomb.
And guys,
And it's so good for you.
if you guys want to check out what those things look like, I know Jesse just shared some pictures of him getting water, I believe, in
Oh
the place that he's
yeah, on my
describing.
Facebook.
Yeah. Um,
You might not want to go to my Facebook right now.
do you want
I
to
mean, I
talk
don't
about that?
care. It's a little embarrassing.
Do you want to talk about that, or do you want to?
Nah,
No. Okay.
nah,
Let's not give it
no,
any
no.
more attention
Suckers,
than it
suckers don't
fucking
get none of
deserves.
my energy.
No. Let's not give these people any more
No, people
attention
don't
than they
get my
deserve.
energy.
Absolutely. It's like naming a school shooter. We don't need to do that. So back to the matter at hand.
Okay, so
The moon
so
is
you can
perfect.
take a bath in water. Yeah, the moon is perfect, bro. It's perfect, but it has a secret past. Can't trust it. It hasn't been fully honest with us.
So,
Where do you think it come from?
well,
Came from?
I'm I'm so torn. I'm so torn. There's so many available options. I really like to believe that the moon is an artificial object, honestly, and I mostly base that on the fact that we know and we can prove that it rings hollow. Um, I really like and respect I mentioned him before, David Icke, who talks a lot about the moon Saturn matrix and how the signals we interpret as reality are broadcast from those places. Um, I I don't have an opinion one way or the other if that's true or not. I think that that's a fucking fascinating posit to make. Um, but I do think that the moon the moon is inherently related to the mysteries that we're dealing with and we're struggling with as a culture right now. Not only is our world being upheaved politically, but like you said, we're definitely going through a soft disclosure. More and more things are being made public, and we have a relationship with the moon as a species, and we always have, as you mentioned. So there's no doubt to me the moon's importance in the story or the narrative of what has really happened and is what is really happening here on Earth. What do you think about the moon's mysterious cousin? And I know you mentioned it earlier, Antarctica, Admiral Byrd. What do you think about Mission High Jump? What do you think about Nazi submarines
Man.
in Antarctica? What do you think about pyramids? Tell us what you think, Jesse.
Shit. Okay. So here's the thing, man. Is the soft disclosure is bookending us, right? So we have ancient truths coming out of the ground, and we have futuristic truths coming out of the sky. And
Absolutely.
they're coming at us at the same time, right? Like, if you are a person that grew up a fan of Egyptology and feel like you took that route as far as you could get, right? And that the secrets of Egypt were kind of going to be gate kept by, like the antiquities director or whatever that doesn't want stuff. So you kind of got frustrated because it seemed like it was the same old, same old. You got to go back. You got to start paying attention to Egyptology. They found a whole freaking city, a whole giant cavernous city underneath Giza, underneath the pyramid structures. Did you know the Great Pyramid is 80 square acres?
It's
That isn't
fucking
little.
crazy.
That isn't little. And
No, it's
there's
not little.
floors and there's levels. And now that we have lidar, so LiDAR is like radar, but the L stands for lasers.
Mhm.
And LiDAR is still really expensive. The technology hasn't become affordable for a lot of people yet, but those that do have it are taking all the fun out of archaeology as they're able to just fly over in a plane
Yeah.
and pretty much just make trees disappear. You can make sand disappear. You shoot that laser in there, and you can see. And so now these people in Egypt that have been holding on to these secrets, they can't really stop the flood of knowledge that's coming. And so we know that the Great Pyramid is not a tomb. I personally think the Great Pyramid provided electricity. That's really what I think.
I would agree with that statement.
There's no hieroglyphs in there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I totally agree with you. I think that is one of the most plausible theories of what the pyramid was actually for. I also have heard some really interesting, incredible information suggesting that the pyramid is a sonic device, and at one point we used sound to transfer energy and electricity. Um, Either way, I think
That's
it's
the only way you can transport. Dude, you're moving 500 ton, 50 ton. I'm not a numbers guy. You're moving these blocks 500 miles from the quarry with what? Ropes? There isn't no
and
trees.
logs.
You're not
Yeah,
making rollers. You just have dudes with a couple trees. There's not enough trees in Egypt to have used them.
no.
We would have literally had a deforest desert. Um, the sheer number of trees you would need to fucking move these blocks. So somehow they got these blocks 500 miles up. But all of the materials that are used in the pyramids are like specifically for their conductivity.
Hmm.
So,
Yep.
man, if you look into the computer models, just go like search. The pyramid is a power station.
It's fascinating. You
And
really should. Everyone should go search for that. Also, I'd like to take the opportunity to say hi to Mike. He is the first follower of the channel. He's here live in the chat. Mike, feel free to pipe in and ask any questions you'd like me or Jesse to answer. Um, so, if we know that the pyramids were built as tools, not as tombs, and we know that they were built out of what they were built out of for specific purposes because of their properties, their conductivity, their magnetic
let me
field, stuff
clarify.
like that.
Let me clarify. That's only the Great Pyramid. Only the Great Pyramid. The other pyramids that came throughout the later ages of Egypt were tombs, not the Great Pyramid.
Fair enough.
So
So,
that's the only one that I can speak with any sense of authority.
a lot of people out there really believe, with a lot of information and evidence to back up their belief, that there are pyramids in Antarctica. Would you be willing to take the logical leap to say that the pyramid or pyramids in Antarctica are more like the Great Pyramid in their devices?
I have no idea. Um, there's still enough people that say that that's a natural formation that I'm not going to hang my hat and my credibility on leaping into the fact that they found the pyramids yet. Antarctica has enough mysteries going on anyways. You mentioned Operation Paperclip, which is weird because nobody denies that happened. But did we actually go down there and fight the Nazis? Well, that's what everybody says we did. But the government's official story is we just went down there to check, make sure there was no Nazis down there. But we took casualties. It's documented that we took casualties, and it's well documented that Admiral Byrd was sent down there to check shit out, and he brought a whole squadron with him. And apparently, when he flew over the South Pole, the climate changed, the topography changed, the geology changed. It became a lush and fertile environment. I don't know. It depends on how far you want to take it. Some people say there was dinosaurs there. Some people say there was like little UFOs flying around. But let's take it at its most tepid, and let's say that there was at least a noticeable temperate change, right? The microclimate is a climate change. So he comes back. He comes back and he flies into, I think it was Argentina, maybe Brazil. I haven't brushed up on.
Pretty sure it was Argentina. Argentina, I think, is the closest to Antarctica, I believe. Or
yeah, geographically it is.
yeah.
But I was thinking maybe his press conference was in Brazil, though. But I don't know. I'm probably wrong about it. But historians say that he said that the next great threat to the planet is coming from Antarctica, which is crazy. Because, so here's the thing. Okay, now we got to get into Hitler. But to get into Hitler, we got to get into Edgar Casey. We got to get into Edgar Casey. We got to get into Atlantis. We got to go to the Pleiadians, the Pleiades constellation, right?
Oh, we're going all the way there. We're going with the Pleiadians. This is getting deep, ladies and gentlemen. Strange Game on a Volcano, 5XL radio.
Yeah. 5 Radio XL.
Oh, 5 Radio XL.
I make that mistake all the time, too.
Sorry.
Okay, so if all of these civilizations all around the planet have pyramids, and they all have giant megalithic walls built like Saskatchewan, and they all have similar developments, and they all sit on the ley lines. If you don't know what a ley line is, it's the magnetic strips that circle the Earth, man. It's like, just like, you know the race cars that you had the zzz race cars when you were a kid. You put them on the track, and they had the little electrical strips that your car ran on. So the Earth has those too, and it's stunning how many of these wonderful structures we have that all line up on these invisible fucking lines, right? And so the most logical belief is that all of these civilizations share a common origin, and a common understanding or a common teaching, right? And so you ask Edgar Casey, who's never wrong about shit. Don't get me started on Edgar Casey. He was wrong about a couple things, but it was dumb things. Edgar Casey was on point about some real, I mean, like, Edgar Casey was the real deal. He'd do like 100 readings a day and shit, and just nail people's medical problems or their allergies and shit, man. Right before Edgar Casey started talking about the pyramids. So anyways, he says there's root races, and they all go back. And one thing we have to remember is the Homo family. Like, humans aren't the only homos that were here.
It's true.
There was a lot of different bipedal hominids that lived on this planet. And most of them died off. Some of them were bred off. Some of them were thought to be just legends until they were discovered, like the ones in Indonesia, the little hobbits, the little 3 feet hobbits. You know, in Hawaii, they have an ancient race of people that lived here called the Menehune, and people are like, oh, they're just that's a legend, like leprechauns. But in the 1820 census on the island of Kauai, 60 people identified as Minihuni. For real, they're their own little race of people. And so when you look at, okay, let's talk about racism real quick.
Yes,
When
let's.
you look at when you look at these structures, you say, "Man, aliens must have built that shit." But then people will say that's racist. That you think that black people couldn't have built the pyramids, and um, and brown people couldn't have built pyramids and ziggurats and stuff like that, right? You're like, okay, well, here's the deal, academia. Those people told you it was fucking aliens, and you called it a creation myth, right? That's racism. That's also religious discrimination, right? You're discounting their creation stories by calling them a myth. You know what I'm saying? The Go back and read the cuneiform tablets, man. Go read the codexes. Go read the scrolls. Go read the hieroglyphs. Go read the papyruses. They tell you who built that shit. They tell you they came and they fucking in Vimanas and they brought you agriculture, right? Okay, but most of those aliens look like white dudes, right? I mean, even in Egypt, people think that the pharaohs were sub-Saharan because sub-Saharan people live there now. So everybody thinks the fucking pharaohs look like Magic Johnson and shit in the Remember the Time video, right? That's not the case. Um, uh, in fact, King Tut's DNA is found in Western Europe. It's not found in Africa. And the oldest pharaohs that they can find DNA for through latest technology puts them all kind of in the Middle East. The people that would have been the oldest pharaohs. So it's hard to say, but it's not sub-Saharan. Those people came into the area later, which is controversial. But those kind of thoughts, like white, blue-eyed alien people that came down and gave gifts to humanity to propel them in their development. So somebody like Hitler and Heinrich Himmler, they get pretty much obsessed with these, and they got the mystery schools uh,
They were very
of these
obsessed with the
real creepy
occult,
fucking.
very obsessed with hidden truth, secret knowledge, the mystery schools. They were very obsessed with these things. They spent an inordinate amount of resources and time. And by resources, I mean World War II resources. We're talking about the equivalent of hundreds of billions of dollars, probably, to search down artifacts and books. So
Yeah,
I think it's very
they would go
fascinating.
all over the world.
I think
It's
it's
real
very
Indiana
fascinating.
Jones shit.
Real. I mean, in real life, they really did that. A lot of people think it's just the movie. It's not. It's not just the movies. And so, what do you think about? So Hitler talked a lot about Aryans, right? And
Yeah,
if you kind of look at the classical idea of Aryans, they come from the hollow earth. They live inside of the earth. They're other beings. They're different beings. They're not. And by Aryan, by the way, we're not saying racially pure. This is not a. It's not what we're saying. It's a word that
but
describes a race of beings.
that's where Hitler got it wrong, right?
Right.
See, a lot of people get to that crossroads of information, and then when they have to reconcile that information that they're given, they can either be like, "Oh, okay," or they can be like, "Wow, they're superior. We're superior." But here's the crazy thing about that, though. So after Germany lost World War One, after Germany lost World War One, they lost an amazing amount of fucking men of sexual age, of reproductive age, right? All their men were decimated. Um, but all of the people that lived in Germany at that time and all of those soldiers were dark complected and dark eyes, dark eyebrows, dark hair, right? Okay. So now So now Hitler's going all over the world, sending people to Tibet, looking for Agartha in the entrance to the Hollow Earth, and
Yep.
they're sending people to Antarctica to look for the entrance to the Hollow Earth, right? And they got people in Argentina looking for entrances over there, and they're going all over the globe, man. They're stealing shit from Egypt. They're stealing scrolls. They're stealing the spirit of Jesus. They're getting like every trinket, every idol, every relic that they can get their hands on, right? But they're also working with these mystery groups, these cabals that have this ancient mystery school knowledge, and quite possibly they're working with extraterrestrials. Right? I mean, now that we have disclosure, that gives a lot more credibility to what people have been saying the whole time, right? Just because the government waits fucking 60 years to admit it doesn't mean that it's not the same fucking phenomenon that's been happening. Okay, so now stay with me. So Hitler comes out, World War II. What does he got for an army? A bunch of dudes that all look exactly the same with blonde hair and blue fucking eyes. Hitler had a clone army, bro. A clone fucking army. The SS did not look like anybody that ever lived in Germany up until that fucking point. So now we're like, oh, clones? Well, where do we got clones coming from? So then we can bounce over to ancient Sumer, and we can look at the Sumerian texts, and we can read the cuneiform transcripts. And you know what's funny is a lot of people say, oh, that's bullshit. Zechariah Sitchin fucking just pushed his agenda. There's a lot of other people besides Zechariah Sitchin that can read that shit. And I just learned that there's computer programs that you can actually go and translate it yourself. You put you upload the tablet, you highlight the thing, you move it over, it'll tell you what that word is. So
it's pretty fucking cool.
In the cuneiform tablets, it tells you that man was a clone, all right? And I don't want to. I mean, most people that probably have an interest in anything that I'm saying probably have heard of like Planet X, Nibiru. So the cuneiform tablets, man, have what's it called, the Ela Elish. And anyways, there's these two dudes, Inky and Lil. And the same story appears in your versions of the Holy Bible in the Old Testament, except that they want to push monotheism. So instead of giving two people that role, like it really happened before the Bible fucking rewrote it, they just give it to God so they can push monotheism, which is why God seems so contradictory in the Bible all the time. Right? Like he'll do something, then he'll kind of just counter what he did. Like, oh, I love humans. I'm going to kill the humans. Let's flood them. Oh, they had a barbecue? Let's save them. Here's a rainbow. Right? So,
God
this
is
is my
pretty bipolar.
covenant to you. Right? So let's try to tell both stories at the same time. So, God makes a clone, but it's actually this dude named Inky that makes a clone. And in the Bible, Inky is kind of referred to as the devil, the serpent. But he really was supposedly a scientist. And so he mixed the Anunnaki DNA. Man, I thought I was going to get through a whole interview without saying Anunnaki. So he mixed the Anunnaki DNA with the DNA of the hominids that were already here on this planet, possibly Australopithecus. That's a logical suspect for this story. So then they make humans. Okay, now let's go to the Bible. Everybody's always wondered, how the hell did Adam and Eve's son get a wife? How did Cain get a wife, right? Well, that's because the important thing to understand about the Bible is that Adam and Eve were not the first two humans ever made. Adam and Eve earned their notoriety by being the first two humans to physically procreate and have live birth, right? Up until that point, everybody was made in the test tube. So the serpent says to Adam and Eve, eat from the tree of forbidden knowledge, and ye shall be like gods. What does that mean? You should be like gods. It means that you can make people too, right? So Adam and Eve, the forbidden fruit is the reproductive organs, right? So when they eat from the reproductive organs, the next scene The very next scene, Adam and Eve are hiding in the garden. And God said, Adam, where are you? And he said, I'm over here, God. God said, why are you hiding? He said, because I'm naked. And God was mad. God said, who told you were naked? Now, what does that mean, naked? Surely Adam and Eve hadn't been wearing clothes this whole time. Modesty was not a thing until they discovered that that wasn't just a weird deformed third leg hanging between his fucking legs, right?
Right, right.
That was a fucking hard dick, man. And it fits perfectly into the compatible anatomy of the female of the species, right? So God's mad, right? He said, who told you were naked? Well, the serpent told us about the fruit and shit, and God's mad. And he says to Eve, Eve, because of this, your pain in childbirth will be greatly multiplied. Well, that means this shit's gonna fucking hurt. I could have made you kids this other way, man. But you wanted to do it this way, right? So Eve, we know how the fetus is affected in vitro, right? When the baby is inside the womb, it responds to trauma. Imagine getting cursed by God right there. So Cain comes out a fucking wacko. Then they have another brother, because shit, man, having sex was awesome, so they have another brother. Then Cain, that motherfucker's so fucked up, and his mom was so traumatized by the whole pregnancy thing that he ended up killing his brother. But then they kicked him out of the garden, and there was already other humans, so he was just able to go to the east of Eden and find himself another wife and start a lineage that is known as the son or the daughters of Cain. And this is in the Dead Sea Scrolls too. And so then God says, okay, did you learn your lesson, a-holes? And then he goes and builds them another son named Seth. And Seth continues to live in the Garden of Eden for a while, and he has a whole lineage that descends from him, and they're called the sons of Seth. So that's the part that the Bible can't really deny. Right? Like, okay, I mean, you try to tell your story in a weird monotheistic way, but so the truth is the Inky made these humans. They started reproducing on their own, kind of got out of control. Enlil's like, let's flood them. Then there's another series of contradictions where supposedly only Noah built a boat with his family, and penguins fucking swam all the way from fucking Argentina to fucking Israel or wherever. Right? Fucking lions just fucking walked. 2 lions walked from Africa. Some kangaroos just fucking hopped over onto the fucking ark. Yeah, right. When he said take 2 of every animal, he means take the fucking the 2 different matching DNAs from each animal. That was all just DNA code. Yeah. You can't possibly build a boat. You can't build a boat big enough to put all those animals on. That's just fucking retarded. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. But some things are really that retarded, man. That's the only word you can use for that idea. But it makes total sense if the dude just had to go grab up the briefcase that contained the DNA codes and the amino acids and the proteins, the building blocks in the test tubes to go and reproduce all of these different creatures. And so we know that the ancient knowledge is cloning. So Hitler shows up with a clone army. And now I look at half these fucking people on this planet. And first of all, there's almost 8,000 people now. 77.5 billion now. It was just 7 billion a second ago, and then right before that it was 6 billion. It's going quick.
Very quick.
It's going quick.
So I think that's a good.
It's going quick.
I think that's a great place to ask another question. So,
yeah.
if it's entirely likely that life is, what's that say? Oh, we got.
Somebody has a question?
No.
Somebody's watching?
Yeah, people
we have
are
a
watching.
Viewer?
Someone named Mike PDX22 said retarded like this whole interview. So
that's cool.
Yeah, Mike PDX22. Hey, at least they're here, right? I'd rather have people get the information and tell us that to go fuck ourselves. And I think it's an interesting thing in the world where we can't talk about things that we don't know. We can't postulate. We can't imagine. We can't use our imaginations to make logical leaps because people like to degrade it. But that's okay. Mike PDX22, you have a right to your opinion, brother. And we're still glad you're here. And we hope you stick around.
I'm just trying to explain. I'm just trying to explain the fucking trippy things that I can't figure out answers to.
So if it's possible,
but I'm sorry. I'll try to be less retarded for you, Mike. If you promise to keep spending your Saturday night watching my interview, I promise I'll be way less retarded.
He'll work
say
on
nicer
it.
stuff.
He'll work on it. We here
Don't
at the
hurt
next
my
gen.
Feelings, man.
We here at the next gen.
I appreciate you tuning in, though. Some of this has to make sense.
You're welcome.
Some
for
of this
letting
has
me
to
know.
make sense to people. It ain't for everybody, though.
You're welcome for letting you know the moon is fake, Mike PDX. You're welcome. Do with that what you will. So, if it's possible that humanity was seeded here by extraterrestrials, right? Then it's also probably possible that extraterrestrials still come here. Maybe they come here just to watch. Maybe they come here to do other stuff. And there's a lot of people out there, whistleblowers, people with credible testimony who say that the Pleiades cluster is where a lot of, at least two species come from. The Pleiadians are widely regarded as a positive species for humanity. Most people who talk about them mention them being very concerned for our species, worried about what we're doing, worried about our use of nuclear weapons, worried about our overpopulation issues, our pollution issues. So if they do exist, then they're really, really nice people. So they might still be coming here if they came here in the past and possibly put us here. It could have been them. It could have been Anunnaki from Planet X. That's another idea. And we definitely have some evidence that there's at least two more bodies out there in our solar system because of the gravitational effects that they're having. Objects in our solar system do weird things that they're not supposed to do. And even mainstream physicists and cosmologists think that there's something out there pulling or pushing on them. So wherever they came from, whoever they are, it's probable that whoever seeded us on this planet had positive intentions. Now, do you think we live in a simulation?
Man, so here's the thing. When you realize how perfectly all of these creatures are, but yet with so much biodiversity, it makes me feel like we're in a zoo, right? I think that, first of all, if you ever saw a crab eat, that's some alien shit.
It's interesting, yeah.
If you look at a cuttlefish, oh no, Kyle, cuttlefish. If you look at a cuttlefish, a squid, an octopus, dolphins and whales might have the same levels of intelligence to parallel ours. They just apparently don't have any thumbs or something. It all just reminds me of just a really cool fucking aquarium or terrarium or ant farm, or you got the heat lamp, and finally one of these little sea monkeys that lives in this thing looks at the heat lamp and goes, man, I don't think that's natural. Right? They got water. They got water that's on the planet that is not from the planet. right? And at one point, those characters that are in it, like say it was Sims, uh, the character that's in it goes, man, there's some weird inconsistencies going on, and there's a lot of coincidences that are going on, right? You know, the first time I ever saw somebody play Minecraft, the voice in my head went nuts, and my deep part of my soul activated, and I was like, what the hell is this? What is this Minecraft game? Because I was literally watching somebody build a universe, right? From raw materials, they grew an entire universe. So like the building blocks are there, but the paths that these different building blocks took is so not random. They're so perfect. The fact that we have water that came from another planet, right? The fact that for a long time there wasn't fire on this planet because there wasn't trees, because there wasn't enough oxygen in our environment, right? So we had to terraform it. Just like we're talking about Mars right now, how we can make Mars habitable by terraforming it and by changing its environment and its atmosphere. That actually happened on planet Earth. There was the introduction of water, which created the opportunity for single-celled algal style plants to grow in the water, right? Then, before the plants, 500 million years before the plants, mushrooms showed up out of nowhere, right? The plants couldn't have come out of the they couldn't have come out of the sea without the mushrooms already being there, ready to host these freaking plants in symbiotic relationships, right? The very first mushrooms on this planet were like 40 feet tall, while the plants were only like 5 feet tall growing around it, right? But so these plants grow out of the water that didn't come from this planet. They use photosynthesis as a way to turn sunlight. They convert sunlight into energy and food to grow. That is crazy. So then they come out of the ooze. They grow in this beautiful, perfect relationship with humans where we can eat them all, right? We can eat them, not everything. You don't eat a Venus flytrap, but it's a food source, right? The wheat's growing now. The banana trees are growing now. All this diverse food products are growing now. The trees exhale oxygen. We exhale carbon dioxide, right? We are only able to grow food because the moon is at the exact perfect distance from the earth to give a tug to keep it on its axis, so that as it rotates around the sun in a year cycle, you get 4 even seasons, evenly distributed, so that you can grow food, right? All of these things are so incredibly coincidental that you're forced to ask yourself, who did it? And for a long time, I thought maybe it was the aliens, right? Like maybe water came here by natural processes and aliens just put the moon there, right? But when you're telling me that those things were created by a collision with a planet that came from outside the solar system, and I'm asking myself, what are the odds of that perfect pool shot sending an Earth-sized planet all the way through the solar system without it getting affected by the gravitational pull of any of those much larger planets, hits a collision course with another planet perfectly suited to host water, perfectly in the Goldilocks zone, not too hot, not too cold, not too close, not too far away. Boom, the moon is perfect to keep it on a rotisserie so that it cooks evenly, doesn't burn really anywhere, doesn't get too cold anywhere except on the poles. And then when you look and see that that moon fits over the sun like 2 fucking quarters, you look at that And you think, man, that was a fucking coincidence, son? That's a coincidence. All this is a beautiful, perfect coincidence. Well, there's two kinds of people. There's the kind of person that just accepts that for a variety of reasons. Maybe it's just really too hard for them to comprehend. Maybe it challenges their existing beliefs. Maybe they're just not smart and they just accept what they're told. But another person, somebody that might be a little more street savvy or a little bit more of a critical thinker or more experienced with people trying to pull fast ones on them, they would go, you know what? This is too good to be true. I'm not going to rent a house sight unseen on Craigslist and send you a cashier's check. Some people do that. Some people really give up their numbers because they think the IRS called them. I'm not that guy. Right? It's too good to be true that we exist because of this crazy anomaly. Now, are there building blocks that are used? Yes. Does the ingredients that are on the moon appear on the Earth? Yes. But somebody had to put that in motion, man. There has to be an intelligent aquarium designer. There has to be. There absolutely has to be. So now because the aliens can't do that, bro. Aliens, I don't think, can do that, right? So now that I know it's that crazy with the water coming from outside the solar system, I just don't think the aliens could pull a whole planet. Maybe. I mean, the Death Star was able to draw the Millennium Falcon in through its tractor beam. But so then you got two alternatives. One, God, which is cool. I'm down with that. But then you have a whole nother episode of your show going, what is good, right? But we can just accept it and call it intelligent design. We can just, okay, intelligent design. Or the fact that this is some kind of computer program that is running an entire simulation. And so then you're like, oh my God, do you know how big that computer would have to fucking be to run 8 billion individual simulations that are all interconnected at those details? And I saw the math one time, and it said 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 is how much computer RAM you'd have to have, right? And the guy said, that's to run 10 billion. And that would need a supercomputer the size of Jupiter. But if you went a little less, you would need a supercomputer the size of the moon.
I think that's a great place to. I think that's a great place to end this interview. I think so
too.
I think that Jesse is incredibly generous with his time for coming and joining us here tonight. Out there in Hawaii, there's a time difference. I'd like to thank you for coming on the show and talking so openly about your ideas. We need a world, ladies and gentlemen who are listening and watching right now. We need a world where there's discourse. We need a world where people are asking questions and talking to each other and relating to each other. We need a world where we can come together and use the supercomputer that is human consciousness to figure out what the fuck is going on. Because we're living in a world where right now we don't know what the fuck is going on. And there's a few people in the world who just need to know. Jessie Sponberg is one of those people. I would really appreciate it.
I just need to know, man.
I would really appreciate it. And if you guys went and checked out his show, Strange Game on a Volcano.
Yeah, so on my show, I take these questions and I find people that can answer them for me. You know, as soon as I answer them, I'll quit asking them. But until I figure out an answer, I just end up with more crazy questions. You know, are we in the fucking Matrix? I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know. I don't think any of us. The moon is cool.
Okay, hey, thanks for your time, bro.
Thank you, Jesse. We appreciate you very much. And this episode will be going up on YouTube. If not tonight, tomorrow for sure. I'll be uploading that on all my social networks so people can come back and watch it if they weren't here tonight. But thank you again, Jesse, for being on the show. Really appreciate it. Oh, and you're going to be in
Thanks for
Portland.
having me.
Before I let you go, you're going to be in Portland this summer, correct? For Hot Nights, Warm Coats?
I'm going to be all over the country this summer. I'm coming back to the mainland, but that's going to take me, shit, I got a lot of places to go. But I will be in Portland for sure, August 24th. At Mount Scott Park for our 12th annual Hot Nights, Warm Coats, community potluck barbecue. Um, yeah, so what we ask is that you, since it's still hot and it's summertime, that you give us your coats that your kids have outgrown or that you outgrew, even if you're an adult, because kids come in all shapes and sizes. And real quick, it's one of my most sincere beliefs that self-value and self-worth is one of the biggest obstacles towards a better world, right? And these kids, while they're in school, they're developing their sense of identity. And your sense of identity can get smashed by having a bad coat, right?
Absolutely.
So, like, literally, just providing these kids with a coat can get them. If you have a nice coat, that's your suit of armor. You can wear that shit every day, all day, feel proud of it, walk around with your head a little higher. And it's easy, just an old coat, man. Make sure it ain't messed up too bad, because these kids know it's not new, but it'll be as good as new to them.
Well,
Because
in
there's nothing worse than
addition,
having a crappy coat. And so if somebody can just make it happen for the
absolutely. In addition to doing your
yeah.
radio show, you have a long history of helping people who need helping, trying to protect people who need protecting, and helping provide food, clothing, warm clothes for children, at-risk women, and homeless people. And I really appreciate you taking the time to come here and talk to us about the moon.
Oh man. We didn't even get to talk enough about water. You're gonna have to have me back on again.
We'll definitely do another
Hey,
show.
just remember, your water is listening to you. So talk nice to your water when you're pouring it in the glass, and it'll be better for your body. All right. Thanks for
Absolutely.
your time, man.
Good night, Jesse.
Do I hang up, or you gotta hang up on me?
You can go ahead and hang up. I already switched away. Have a great night, brother.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Jessie Sponberg. I know that there were some controversial ideas talked about tonight. There was some stuff that maybe blew your mind. Maybe you don't believe. Maybe you can't believe, and that's okay. That's okay. It's okay to live in a world where people have some ideas you don't agree with. But if you heard anything in this show that you're interested in and you'd like to know more about, I do encourage you to go out, go online, find credible sources, and find out for yourself. Ask the important questions. What's really going on in the world? Are we being manipulated? Do we live in a matrix? I don't know. But the world is crazy. It's fucking crazy. But we here at Next Gen Retro, we fucking love you. And we really, really appreciate you being here. By we, I mean me. There's nobody else here. All right. Thank you so much. And have an amazing night. Good night.